Germany's finance minister has blamed Donald Trump's irresponsible war in Iran for a big drop in his country's expected tax revenues. Lars Klingbeil said the US president's actions in the region had caused a global energy shock.
The United States Treasury Department has sanctioned Iraq's Deputy Minister of Oil, Ali Marij al-Bahadli, for allegedly helping Iran to sell its oil. The Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, said it was taking action to increase economic pressure on Iran as negotiations for a deal between Washington and Tehran are showing timid signs of progress, with Iranian officials saying they are reviewing a US proposal. Mohammed Soliman, accused of attacking demonstrators who had gathered in support of Israeli captives held in Gaza in Colorado, has pleaded guilty to murder charges. The plea on Thursday was accompanied by renewed calls for the administration of US President Donald Trump to cease efforts to deport Solomon's family, who authorities have said had no prior knowledge of the attack that they have roundly condemned.
And Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has met US President Donald Trump at the White House for talks that were expected to focus on trade, security and critical minerals as Lula seeks to reset their rocky relationship. Thursday's meeting between Lula and Trump brought together two of the world's most prominent populist figures despite their sharp ideological differences.
Beirut, Lebanon. Israel's attacks on Lebanon and pressure on the Lebanese government to disarm the pro-Iran Shia movement Hezbollah by force are stoking internal tensions, analysts have told Al Jazeera. Israel is leaning on this division as a strategy to try to pit communities against one another, they say. The strategy is working, they add, pointing to a recent series of sectarian and political provocations.
Israel's opposition is uniting to try to unseat Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in upcoming elections. Former Prime Ministers Naftali Bennett and Yair Lapid are joining forces, but deep divisions remain over the war with Iran and Israel's future direction. As pressure mounts on Netanyahu after months of war and political turmoil, can the opposition really take power? In this episode...
And regular internet users and corporations are not the only victims of malicious hackers. Sometimes the hackers themselves get hacked. That is what happened in an unusual hacking campaign where an unknown group of hackers targeted systems already compromised by a prolific Team PCP. Once the hackers broke into those systems, they immediately kicked out Team PC hackers and for food, according to a new report by cybersecurity firm SentinelOne.
Stockholm-based vibe coding platform Lovable is growing revenue at an astronomical rate and doing something that few US companies, startup or otherwise, would even contemplate. Voluntarily promising annual 10% salary raises for all employees on their work anniversaries. In the US corporate world, employees don't generally get built-in raises unless they've unionized. And even then, a 10% raise across the board is typically spread over multiple years of a contract, not delivered annually.
Will dating app malaise finally kill off the swipe? For Bumble, at least, that seems to be the case. In an interview with Axios on Thursday, Bumble CEO Whitney Wolfe Herd confirmed that Bumble will get rid of swiping, the defining feature of 2010's dating apps. Islamabad. The Ministry of Finance and the State Bank of Pakistan, SBP, on Thursday showed unanimous optimism over economic growth and achieving fiscal and current account targets despite the regional crisis. The development comes amid anticipated approval of disbursements worth over 1.2 billion by the International Monetary Fund on Friday, and the scheduled visit of another mission for next year's budget formulation on May 15.
And Dera Ismail Kayan, 3 Rescue 1122 officials were abducted by unidentified armed suspects near Safdar village in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's Tank district on Thursday evening. Police and administrative sources said Deputy Commissioner Tanveer Ahmad confirmed the incident, while officials said further investigation was underway.
Bajaur. 2 children were killed and 4 others injured during an exchange of fire between security forces and militants in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Bajaur district on Thursday evening. Official sources told Dawn that the clash in Waramaman Tehsil erupted when security forces were conducting a search operation against suspected militants in the area. United States President Donald Trump has called for criminal charges of incitement to violence against top Democratic lawmaker Hakeem Jeffries, escalating his push to use the legal system against his political rivals. Trump shared a social media post on Thursday attempting to link past comments by the minority leader in the House of Representatives to the White House correspondents' dinner shooting incident that prosecutors said targeted the U.S. president.
The US Treasury has sanctioned Iraq's Deputy Oil Minister Ali Marij al-Bahadli and leaders of pro-Iran militias, accusing them of helping Iran to sell oil in violation of US sanctions. Like a rogue gang, the Iranian regime is pillaging resources that rightfully belong to the Iraqi people, said US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Treasury will not stand idly by as Iran's military exploits Iraqi oil to fund terrorism against the United States and our partners.
And a motorbike rider has been killed during qualifying for the prestigious Northwest 200 and W200 Superbike annual race in Northern Ireland. A competitor has died following an incident at Station Corner on the NW200 course during this morning's Superbike qualifying session, said a statement from the race organisers, Coleraine and District Motor Club.
The head of Jeff Bezos' family office has left the board of directors of Slate Auto, the electric vehicle startup backed by the Amazon founder. According to numerous state filings reviewed by TechCrunch, Melinda Lewison, who leads investments at Bezos Expeditions, appears to have stepped down at some point in the last few months. Documents filed with the Delaware, Florida, and Massachusetts Secretaries of State show. That leaves Bezos with no direct representation on Slate's board as the company prepares to put its low-cost electric truck into production later this year.
And prediction market startup Kalshi announced on Thursday a $1 billion Series F round, valuing the company at $22 billion. That's double the $11 billion valuation Kalshi nabbed just 5 months ago after raising a $1 billion Series E. This latest round was led by Coatue with participation from Sequoia, Andreessen Horowitz and Paradigm. The startup told Bloomberg that its annualized revenue exceeds $1.5 billion.
Former Pakistani badminton player Manal Khan has spoken out against body-shaming culture in sports and society after revealing she was targeted over her weight while recovering from surgery and battling endometriosis. In a series of Instagram stories shared from a badminton venue, Manal Khan said she returned to a place where she had played and won one of her first matches, expecting to feel nostalgic. Instead, she said several people commented on her weight within minutes of seeing her. Islamabad. PTI said that preparations for the final round of its movement against Imran Khan's imprisonment had begun, as Adiala jail authorities again denied permission to meet the party founder on Thursday. PTI leaders, including Khurram Virk, Nassim Ali Shah, Zahif Shah, Rajab Abbasi, Zahar Alam and Rubina Shaheen, reached Adiala jail but were not allowed to meet Imran Khan until the end of visiting hours. Islamabad. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Thursday received a telephone call from Qatar's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani. During their warm and cordial conversation, the two leaders held a productive exchange of views on the current regional situation.
Islamabad, Pakistan, on Thursday rejected the two lowest evaluated LNG bids from BP Singapore and Total Energies, priced at 17.28 and 16.98 per million British thermal units, MBTU respectively, for delivery next week and in the last week of the current month. State-run Pakistan LNG Limited, Pehel, received a total of 7 bids, 3 cargoes for May 12-14 and 4 for May 24-26, against urgent tenders floated a day earlier. One word dominates Red Square right now: victory. The word Pobeda stares down from giant red banners. It flashes across video screens. Close by, people are taking selfies beside an art installation that spells out the word.
Rwandan singer Aimable Karasira has died as he was being released from prison in Kigali, according to the Rwanda Correctional Service, RCS. The RCS said he had died at Nyarugenge Hospital after he had allegedly overdosed on his prescription medication.
And warning. This story contains content which some readers might find distressing. A US judge has ordered the release of a document purported to be a suicide note written by convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein a month before his death. And Tehran, Iran, a meeting between two of Iran's leaders may seem routine. But President Masoud Pezeshkian's announcement that he had a positive discussion with Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei and is an attempt to push back against efforts from the United States to portray the Islamic Republic's leadership as divided. And Pezeshkian's announcement on Thursday appears to mark the first time the president has been able to get an audience with Khamenei since the latter's selection 2 months ago for Iran's most powerful position.
The United States is trying to de-escalate Israel's actions in Lebanon as it pushes for solidifying an ongoing ceasefire and moving to the next phase of negotiations between the two sides, according to a Lebanese official. The official, who spoke to Al Jazeera Arabic on condition of anonymity, revealed on Thursday the details of the planned second stage of negotiations between Israel and Lebanon after an initial round in Washington, D.C., in mid-April, which led to the current status quo of a ceasefire being declared, but attacks continuing. The World Health Organization, WHO, has confirmed 5 cases of hantavirus linked to deaths aboard a cruise ship in the Atlantic Ocean. Another 3 cases are suspected of being linked to the Andes strain of the hantavirus. The WHO says more cases are possible, but the risk to public health remains low. The U.S. health authorities are monitoring residents in at least 3 states after a deadly hantavirus outbreak linked to the MV Hondius cruise ship before the upcoming FIFA World Cup 2026. The development follows a World Health Organization alert over infections tied to the ship, where 3 deaths and multiple suspected and confirmed cases have been reported since April.
Islamabad, the Federal Constitutional Court, FCC, on Thursday cited Section 7E of the Income Tax Ordinance. I-2001 has ultravised the Constitution, which had empowered tax authorities to levy tax on deemed income from assets and properties, having a significant impact on the Federal Board of Revenue's, FBR. Property taxation's Section 7E was introduced through the Finance Act 2022 for the tax year 2023.
Countries worldwide sought to prevent further spread of the hantavirus on Thursday after an outbreak on a cruise ship by tracking those who had already disembarked before the virus was detected and anyone in close contact with them since 3 people, a Dutch couple and a German national, died in the outbreak on the MV Hondius.